Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for coming. My name is James Covington. I am the Regional Communications Director for ICE Northeast. More importantly, today, I am the Communications Director for ICE Boston. Thank you for coming out to our press conference announcing the results of a recent enhanced immigration targeted operation. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the Acting Director of ICE, Todd Lyons.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin, I just want to take a special thank you to thank our partners. Without partnership, this is really key to the success of the ICE mission and DHS as a whole. To U.S. Attorney Leah Foley, the Boston Field Office Director Patricia Hyde, Special Agent in Charge Michael Crow, Mike Manning, Customs and Protection, Boston, Scott Reed of the ATF, Matt O'Brien at Diplomatic Security Service, Stephen Bello, DEA, Brian Keyes, U.S. Marshals, and the men and women of the U.S. Border Patrol that are with us every day. These brave men and women have worked tirelessly to arrest approximately 1,500 criminal aliens and illegal aliens during Operation Patriot. In the beginning of May, ICE and its federal and state partners launched the whole-of-government effort to remove dangerous criminal aliens from all over the Commonwealth. I'll let our Boston Field Office Director give you the specific numbers of Operation Patriot, but what I can tell you is this: that hundreds of brave officers and agents risk their lives every day here in the Commonwealth to remove dangerous criminals from Boston, Worcester, Springfield, Lowell, Lawrence, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, and several other communities across the Commonwealth. Significant amount of the criminal aliens that were arrested by the teams were drug traffickers, sex offenders, murderers, and foreign fugitives trying to evade justice in their home countries. It's long past time to remove these dangerous criminals from our communities. What we need to do is prevent them from terrorizing family, friends, and our neighbors. But the bottom line is that ICE and its federal partners wouldn't be able to conduct large-scale operations like this without the partnership you see up here. But more importantly, if sanctuary cities would change their policies and turn these violent criminal aliens over to us into our custody, instead of releasing them into the public, we would not have to go out to the communities and do this. Boston's my hometown, and it really shocks me that officials all over Massachusetts would rather release sex offenders, fentanyl dealers, drug dealers, human traffickers, and child rapists back into the neighborhoods. You know, all too often in Massachusetts and all over the Commonwealth, people use ICE's operations as a talking point, which it shouldn't be. It should be public safety all around. But instead, the brave men and women of ICE, CBP, ATF, DEA, Diplomatic Security Service, and the U.S. Marshals have to go out and pick up some of the most horrible criminals that are roaming free in Massachusetts. These are just some of them. A child sex offender that was previously deported that was released by a local agency but was back living across the street from a playground. A sex trafficker that was arrested for raping a child that was re-released back into the community. A habitual drunk driver who, in the midst of his drunk driving, kidnapped a child. Theft from, we had one person that was previously deported that was stealing from disabled senior citizens. Not only that, but they got several convicted murderers, rapists, spouse abusers, child abusers, and drug traffickers. You can see their mugshots, which are all up here on the photo. And I really want everyone to see that. Because not only did they enter our country illegally, but they were released back into our community by elected officials and sanctuary jurisdictions that did not want to turn these individuals over to ICE. I really want everyone to see their faces and know what's going on. So make no mistake, ICE is going to keep doing this. This operation proved that we need to be more. While this operation was going on, and the brave men and women from all these agencies were out conducting operations, more criminal aliens were being released into the community. We did this already once. We saw a large number in a week time, but that just showed we needed to come back. And we're going to keep coming back because ICE is going to make sure that we keep our community safe and keep our neighborhood safe from these sex offenders and these criminal aliens. But not only are we going to keep the community safe, my goal is to keep my officers and agents and also the criminal aliens safe, because we'd rather arrest them in a local jurisdiction where it only takes 2 officers or agents and they can turn them over to us in a safe environment, then rather than us going back out into the community and then these criminal aliens be released back in our neighborhoods. So with that, I'll turn it over to U.S. Attorney Leah Foley.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for being here. As you know, the top priority of the U.S. Attorney's Office has been and will remain protecting the citizens of Massachusetts. And this month-long enforcement surge, led by ICE, has made our communities safer. Since January 20th, our office has charged well over 50 foreign nationals who unlawfully re-entered our country after being deported. This includes 15 individuals charged in the last month alone. These individuals violated our immigration laws when they entered the United States unlawfully, often multiple times. Some went on to commit serious crimes. Those arrested included individuals who pumped deadly narcotics into our neighborhoods, trafficked firearms for transnational criminal organizations, defrauded the government benefit programs, and in some cases preyed on vulnerable children. These are defendants who didn't simply cross a border, they crossed a line and jeopardized the safety of Massachusetts communities. When someone who is here illegally chooses to engage in crime, when they bring fentanyl into our neighborhoods, sell firearms to gangs, or assume false identities to collect benefits intended for vulnerable Americans, these are not immigrants. They are criminals, and they will be treated as such. This is about public safety, plain and simple. Our job is to protect the public, to prevent harm, and to uphold the rule of law. My office will continue to prioritize the prosecution of individuals who are in this country unlawfully and those who pose a threat to our community. Just as I said when I first became U.S. Attorney, if you threaten the safety of our residents, we will find you. We will hold you accountable, and when appropriate, we will remove you from this country. This is the land of opportunity, not the land for opportunists. Enough is enough. When we will hold you accountable for when you commit crimes in this jurisdiction. My office will continue to support and work with ICE to bring charges against those who come here illegally and commit crimes. Equally as important, I also want to add that we will not tolerate anyone who impedes or obstructs ICE operations. What I have seen on the news and in social media is concerning, to say the least. Agents' safety is paramount, and it is a felony to threaten or assault a federal agent. I want to be clear about that. No one is above the law. This is non-negotiable. The law in this area is clear, and I will not sit idly by and watch federal agents being threatened. I also want to thank our partners at ICE and HSI, as well as our federal, state, and local law enforcement agency partners. They tirelessly work collaboratively to stand by each other and to make our community safer. Today, we are announcing real progress. However, we are not done. We are only getting started. And I would like to introduce Patricia Hyde.
Good morning. Thank you, U.S. Attorney Foley. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts is a safer place today, thanks to the work and determination of the men and women of ICE and our federal law enforcement partners. Working together, we were able to arrest almost 1,500 illegal aliens throughout the Commonwealth during the month of May, most of whom have significant criminality in the United States or abroad. Throughout this enhanced immigration enforcement operation, ICE and our federal partners targeted the most dangerous alien offenders in some of the most crime-infested neighborhoods of Massachusetts. Our efforts resulted in the arrests of 1,461 criminal alien offenders. 277 of those offenders have been ordered removed from the United States by a Justice Department immigration judge. Make no mistake, every person we arrested was breaking our immigration laws. But most of these individuals, 790 to be exact, had significant criminality as well. That is 790 alien offenders who victimized innocent people, who traumatized entire communities. Represented in these numbers are murderers, rapists, drug traffickers, child sex predators, and members of violent transnational criminal gangs. We arrested criminal aliens who have been convicted of violent crimes in the United States, and some of who were wanted for criminality in their native countries. All made the mistake of attempting to subvert justice by hiding out in Massachusetts. I want to take this opportunity to say to our officers and law enforcement partners, thank you for your professionalism, tenacity, and dedication to duty. To the residents of our Massachusetts communities, today your streets are a little safer. To the victims of these alien offenders, know that today you will not be mistreated by your attackers. To any criminal alien offenders victimizing Massachusetts residents, ICE is not going away. We are coming for you. While removing these individuals is extremely gratifying, we still have a lot of work to do. While we covet a mutually beneficial cooperative relationship with our state and local partners, we will work around them when it becomes necessary to ensure the safety and security of Massachusetts. ICE and our federal law enforcement partners remain committed to protecting our communities and prioritizing the well-being of our public by locating, arresting, and removing criminal alien offenders and making our New England communities a safer place to live. Now, Special Agent in Charge, Homeland Security Investigations.
Thank you. Good morning, I think it is. My sincere thanks to Director Lyons, U.S. Attorney Foley, and all of our partners with whom I stand shoulder to shoulder with every day to ensure the safety and security of our communities. ICRO, CBP, U.S. Coast Guard, ATF, DEA, DSS, FBI, U.S. Marshal Service, the IRS, U.S. Attorney's Office, and many others. Today, as we announce the arrest of nearly 1,500 illegal aliens over the last 30 days, I want to reiterate, this is not a victory lap. Today is a collective reaffirmation of our commitment to ensuring the public safety and national security of our communities. With each agency bringing unique authorities and expertise, HSI Special Agents will continue a whole-of-government approach to take the fight to transnational criminal actors and organizations who poison our communities, who exploit and victimize our children, who defraud our citizens and government systems, who illegally harbor and employ aliens, who perpetrate violence, and all of those who choose to ignore the rule of law. It should be no secret by now that you will continue to see all of our special agents and officers in your communities conducting daily enforcement actions 24/7. I caution those who try to impede or obstruct operations, or those who dare to threaten or assault our law enforcement officers. We have been and will continue to be working with the U.S. Attorney's Office to investigate and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Our job is to uphold the Constitution, and that's exactly what we're doing. I join my colleagues when I share my heartfelt thanks for the work of the frontline officers and agents who put their lives on the line every day in support of this great nation. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take some questions.
Todd, will you
Director Lyons, can you speak to the roughly 50%? Okay, we'll get ABC News here. Luke?
Two questions. Number one, do you have any update on the Milford teenager that was detained by ICE over the weekend, and where is he? Do you have any status on where that person is, maybe Patricia or Ireland? The second question is, the attack in Colorado overstated pizza, and according to DHS, is in the U.S. illegally. Do you have any information on the suspect? Was he on law enforcement's radar? And can you tell us more about his immigration status?
So I'll take the I'll take Colorado first. So I'll defer to the FBI on that one. It's an active joint terrorism investigation, obviously. Still in the early stages that ICE was able to identify that he had overstayed his visa. While he did have a work authorization permit, it was expired. So with that, I will say that there are millions of individuals like this that we are attempting to locate from the past administration that weren't properly screened that were allowed in. I will tell you that's a huge effort for ICE right now. In regards to this gentleman, I can't give you any intel as far as it's a joint terrorism task force investigation, and more will be coming out, but I'll defer to my partners in the FBI for that one.
Director Lyons?
Wait, what about Marcelo Gomes Silva over the weekend?
In regard to Marcelo Gomes, he remains in ICE custody. He was not the target of the investigation, but like we have repeatedly said, sanctuary policies put us in a position to go out into communities and look for people. When jurisdictions don't cooperate with ICE and we don't arrest people in custodial arrests, then we must go out into the community, and when we go out into the community and we find others who are unlawfully here, we are going to arrest them. We've been completely transparent with that. He's 18 years old, he's unlawfully in this country. And unfortunately, we had to go to Milford to look for someone else, and we came across him, and he was arrested. That's where that stands.
You're looking for someone dangerous and violent?
Well, I'll take that one. So we're looking for his father. So obviously he's the father of the year because brought his son up here illegally as well. And yes, we had intelligence from a local law enforcement agency. We were looking for the father. And like Field Officer Director High said, they made a traffic stop on that vehicle, which was the father's vehicle. He was driving that vehicle. But like any local law enforcement officer, if you encounter someone that has a warrant, or like I said, is here illegally, we will take action on that. We're doing the job that ICE should have been doing all along, and that we enforce all immigration laws.
What's the
What
danger
is
on his father?
what is
What's the
dangerous
danger on his
about a
father?
high school junior? He was about to play in the graduation ceremony, play in the band the next day. I guess what is the danger of the 18-year-old to that community?
So I'll put it back on you. What about an 18-year-old who's just stopped for a traffic violation by Mass State Police, who's wanted to be a habitual traffic offender on his way to graduation? Would you be asking that same question to the Mass State Police for not arresting him? Like, I didn't say he was dangerous. I said he's in this country illegally, and we're not going to walk away from anybody.
So where is he? Is he having due process? Does he have a lawyer?
Yeah, well, the whole due process thing, ICE doesn't just scoop people off the street and remove them. Everyone gets due process, and that is what the U.S. Attorney's Office for. It's what the immigration courts are for. They all do that. He will go in front of an immigration judge. He'll have the opportunity to post bond. But again, I'm just going to ask you a question. Boston police stopped an 18-year-old on the way to high school. Are we having this conversation right now?
Well, there would be a crime. There would be some evidence that we would...
It happens every day. Every day. There are multiple 18-year-olds arrested. But yet, we are focused on this one. And I will say, his dad hasn't turned himself in yet, and his dad knows he's the target of it. So.
What's his dad targeted for? What's his dad targeted for?
Sorry, do you have a box?
Question. So the governor says Massachusetts is not a sanctuary state, but your teams don't receive assistance when you hit like all these different counties across, not just in Boston, but in these other suburbs and places across the state. So what's your response to the governor on that, and how difficult is it for your teams to not get that assistance? Like when you went to Operation Tidal Wave in Florida, it's a different scenario. You come to Boston, it seems like it's a little bit more difficult.
I think it's a matter of semantics, right? We can say we're not a sanctuary state, but when people are arrested for local charges, drug traffickers who are peddling poison in our communities are walking out the door, not turned over to ICE, what does that sound like to all of you? That's sanctuary. When states and local jurisdictions don't cooperate with ICE and they let bad actors walk out into the community, they let child rapists just walk back out, $500 bail, that is sanctuary. So it's fine to say that you're not, but your actions absolutely show something different.
As for the search operation.
U.S. Supreme Court last week halted a ruling out of Boston that had blocked the administration from revoking immigration parole for about 500,000 Venezuelan, Cuban, Haitian, and Nicaraguan migrants. And then a couple weeks earlier, the Supreme Court also allowed the administration to end TPS for thousands of Venezuelans. Could you talk about to the extent ICE is now arresting or detaining people that were covered by those programs, and give us any sense of what the scale of that would look like?
Well, in that case, I would refer you over to Citizen Immigration Services. They handle that. ICE is only the enforcement arm of the immigration process. So I can just say that anyone that does no longer has protective status would be in this country illegally, and ICE would take an enforcement action.
As for the search, can you tell me more about the search operation here and exactly, what are the officers, where are the officers coming from to try to help in terms of resources? Are these actual ICE agents or officers, or are they being contracted outside of the agency? And also, how do you know that they're properly vetted here to conduct and follow the same laws?
So what I can tell you is no one's contracted. All the partners up here are Title VIII immigration designated officers, so every federal agency has a Title VIII authority. So these are federal law enforcement special agents and officers from all over the DHS, DOJ. Like I said, it's a whole of government approach. These aren't any contract individuals. But you can see what the numbers, like I said, we ran an operation before up here. And while they were on targeted operations for criminal aliens that were released, other ones were being released at the same time. 24 hours a day, criminal aliens are being released all over Massachusetts. The only way to account and take these other individuals back into custody was to go ahead and partner with our other DHS partners that are here and DOJ partners to ensure that we have the proper manpower to respond whenever someone's released from custody.
Now, on that point, on that same point,
Last question. Last question.
on that same point,
Can you guys offer a few more specifics on the charges? Are you counting illegal reentry as among those 790 people at the charges versus how many were convicted and violent crimes?
Yes, those include people who had been previously deported, were found back in the Commonwealth, and have been charged again with illegal reentry.
So how many were charged for something other than illegal reentry?
I don't have that number, but I can tell you, for example, on May 7th, I believe, ICE took a man into custody who had been removed from the country 5 previous times. He had been arrested 9 times on serious criminal charges, including assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, indecent assault and battery on a person, kidnapping, unarmed robbery, threatening, and intimidation, and he had a conviction for an OUI. Another man who was arrested in Worcester had been deported 4 previous times. He came back into this country, had 3 open OUI charges. Each time he was arrested for OUI, he was released without notifying ICE so that they could go and pick him up safely and securely and put him back in deportation. It was only after he violated one of the terms of his release for that 3rd OUI that ICE was notified and the detainer was allowed to be executed.
wouldn't it be breaking the
Thank you very much. That's all the time we have. I'm sorry.
He was being charged, he was being held on violations of his release.
Why do the agents wear masks?
Why do they wear masks?
And also, what do you say when there's people who are charged with child rape who are out on bail facing more than 10 years behind bars who are allowed to go home free?
So, hang on. I'm going to answer the mask question. So, no, not the mask. The